said, I didn't do that. And I said, Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order, 3 weeks ago.
Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, went on Bari Weiss's podcast on Free Press, and they were talking about how Biden literally, I often say the word literally did not know what legislation and what actions he was signing. Take a look at this.
I do stand by it, and I say this without any personal animus at all. I mean, in some ways, I actually kind of feel sorry for Joe Biden. I mean, he's in the twilight years of his life. He is not, obviously, has not been in charge for some time. And I know this by personal observation, and now the whole world knows it. And it's been very, very concerning to me over the last, year and a half since I've had this position.
Can you tell us a story when you say personal observation? What kind
well,
of
I mean,
thing did you see?
it's public now because the Wall Street Journal got it and put it on the front page. But January a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, I had been asked. I became Speaker in October 2023, and there were all sorts of big national security concerns and everything going on. And I started requesting a meeting with the president because I'm kind of old school. I'm a constitutional law guy. The Speaker of the House should be able to talk to the president, especially in times of great national interest and calamity. But they wouldn't let me meet with him, and his staff kept giving me excuses. This went on for like 8 or 9 weeks. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, he doesn't have time. What are you talking about? I'm second in line of the presidency. He has time. I need to talk to him. We had, I can't say the classified parts, but we had some big national concerns at the time that I was losing sleep over. Finally, I just went to the Hill Press Corps and I said, the president is not being allowed to meet with the Speaker. There's a problem. So they started putting pressure on him. Long story short, they finally relented. They invited me to the White House. I show up and I realize it's actually an ambush because it's not just me and the president. It's also Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem, the CIA director, everybody. And then, so I walked in the Oval and, I know what this is. They're going to hotbox the Speaker on Ukraine funding. That's what it was. This is probably third week of January. We sit down, we're in the midst of it, and the whole conversation, and I'm going, we don't need to have this conversation. The president reaches over just like this. We're sitting right next to the fireplace in the Oval, and he grabs my arm and he says, the Speaker and I just need a couple minutes together. Would y'all just leave us alone? And I looked up on the faces of some of the staff standing around the wall, and they're like, oh, no, he did it. So he called it. He's the commander-in-chief. So everybody leaves, and he and I are standing awkwardly in the middle of the Oval Office, right over the rug by that coffee table. And I said, Mr. President, thanks for the moments. This is very important. I got some big national security things I need to talk to you about that I've heard and I think you know, and what do we do? But first, real quickly, Mr. President, can I ask you a question? I cannot answer this from my constituents in Louisiana. Sir, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? I don't understand, liquefied natural gas is in great demand by our allies. Why would you do that? Because you understand, we just talked about Ukraine. You understand you're fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine because they got to get their gas from him, And he looks at me, stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. And I said, Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order 3 weeks ago. And he goes, no, I didn't do that. And he's arguing with me. I said, Mr. President, respectfully, could I go out here and ask your secretary to print it out? We'll read it together. You definitely did that. And he goes, oh, you talk about natural gas. Yes, sir. He said, no, you misunderstand. He said, what I did is I signed this thing we're gonna conduct a study on the effects of LNG. I said, no, you're not, sir. You paused it. I know, I have the export terminals in my state. I talked to those people this morning. This is doing massive damage to our economy, national security. It occurred to me, Barry, he was not lying to me. He genuinely did not know what he had signed. And I walked out of that meeting with fear and loathing because I thought, we're in serious trouble. Who is running the country? I don't know who put the paper in front of him, but he didn't know.
Okay, so Johnson is getting some criticism right now because of that, because people are saying, well, why didn't you say that more forcefully or vocally or publicly over the last couple of months? But put that aside for a moment. The other thing that he did say in that was that he was trying to get a meeting with Joe Biden for 6 months, and they would not let the Speaker of the House get a meeting with Joe Biden, and that when he walked into the room, when he finally got the meeting, when he walked into the room, Kamala Harris and I think it was Chuck Schumer basically blocked him from the president because they knew if he was able to ask the president anything, that was going to happen. So that exactly gets to your point. Who the hell was doing all of this? And actually, is there a legal issue here when it comes to these pardons or executive actions? Does this man know what he just did?
Probably not. I think that's what we have to assume. Let's go back to June 27th. Where were we? At your house in Miami, and the debate. Yeah. And that was when everything was confirmed, what we had been talking about for all this time.
Right.
He's not all there. I said then the human element is heartbreaking. We're beyond that. Jill Biden, shame on you. We're beyond that. I don't obviously believe that he knew what he was doing. Who put these pardons in front of him? You know, I mean, I assume he knew that he was signing hunters and executing all that.
Right.
The timing of this must be discussed as well. 15 minutes before all of this began, before they entered the rotunda, 15 minutes. So the timing of this, I mean, he waited to the very last second, probably to make sure that the Trump administration didn't fully couldn't put it in his speech to comment on it. I don't know.
Oh,
but all
that's
this
interesting.
happened at the very last second.
Right.
The last moment he could possibly do any pardons and any damage. You know what it proves to me? It proves what I have believed, unfortunately. I didn't want to believe this for a very long time. This man and Kamala Harris, they do not love America.
Yeah.
They do not believe in democracy. They don't, or else they would not have done this. So the 46th president of the United States leaves in shambles and in a cloud of darkness, not because of anybody else, but because of what he did and did not choose to do.
Ashish Kumar Jha, former Biden administration COVID-19 response coordinator, recently gave a chilling speech at the University of Michigan School of Public Health. In it, he warned of a new age of pandemics fueled by bioweapons development and natural threats. He called for massive investments in vaccines against pathogens that don't even exist yet and urged a war on so-called misinformation. But here's the real question. Who's working on bioweapons and just how many labs are out there? Yes, Trump got the win, but let's not forget, evil is still lurking in the background. The best defense is being prepared. That's why the wellness company created the Contagion Emergency Kit, engineered by Dr. Peter McCullough and his medical board. This kit includes 5 critical life-saving medications like ivermectin, Tamiflu, a nebulizer, and HCQ. These are hard-to-get medications, but now every household can have access to them without the red tape. It's simple. Fill out a quick digital intake form, and your kit will arrive in just 1 to 2 weeks. Don't wait until the deep state puts their plans into action. Stay ready for the unexpected. Head on over to twc.health/Rubin and use code Rubin to save $48 plus free shipping. Kits available only in the US of A.